Yeah, I'm just obviously we're excited to be going up to Penn State and playing such a great football program. Outstanding, one of the outstanding coaches in America and his staff, and a great program and a great opportunity for us to go up into a great venue for our players to go into, and hopefully we can make a good showing and get the most out of the afternoon. But coming off a good win, that's why a good win is important. That first game, when you play a team, you have to would say that you're supposed to win. When you do it decisively, and you do it in the manner that we did, with much more positives than negatives, you feel like you've done your job, and now you're ready for a game like this. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're working very hard. They are a very good football team. And I'll let y'all just ask questions.
It's one of those rare occasions where you probably got to watch your next opponent on Saturday.
It's Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning. We didn't watch them because we were practicing, but we taped them and watched them at noon. So we had the team came up and we watched them as a staff, and we got pizza for them and they watched it together. You know, 'cause it's always kind of fun to watch the commentary. You get much more as you study a film out of the coaching videos that you send to each other, which we got by Sunday morning. But it's also interesting to watch the TV copy, because an analyst, which I was for many years, spends a lot of time on his opening game of the season. They have a wealth of knowledge about every person, and it's fun to listen to. I think it was Ed Cunningham, Mike Peck, guys that I used to work with and knew pretty well.
What you notice about Hackenberg, if anything?
He's got a rifle arm. He's got explosive abilities and can make big plays. And if you don't somehow, if you give him enough time to throw the football, he's gonna rip you apart. And Central Florida is a very good football team. Some people, because Central Florida is still not one of those names that stands out like a Big Ten or a SEC team. I don't think people realize, like I do, the type of talent they have. And for him to rip them like he did, for the yardage that he did, is pretty self-explanatory. But he'll be one that we'll have to really have a great plan for slowing that down a little bit. You'd like for he's going to get chunks. You'd like not to get the big plays. Big plays will just eat you alive.
Coach, what about, you mentioned it was a good win, it was a solid win.
Mm-hmm.
One question I had was there much from the running game? It seemed Kyle had the most yards.
Right.
Most of it was flushed out and there was open spaces. How concerned were you after the game with the running
Well,
game?
I mean, I want to do better. I mean, obviously, if you look at a game like that and you got to find something to write about, you got to have something that's negative. We want to run better, and we've got to run better. But you also I made a note to myself, we could have run more and the score would have been a lot closer.
Okay.
And that's about what we'd accomplished. We just, because we'd throw 3 times and score. And I was more disappointed in the fact that we had that lull a quarter and a half where we probably would have been subbing by mid-second quarter and running every time. But because we stayed around 21 points and we got in the second half, we threw the ball down the field. That being said, we could have used a couple of big runs, and we'd have had about, I felt like you could use about 50 or 75 more yards rushing. Now the quarterback scrambling and getting about 50 yards a game is pretty much kind of you'd like to see that happen about every game. I mean, if you look around the top college teams in America, even the pro teams, quarterbacks, even the pocket quarterbacks, are taking advantage of certain coverages and running the ball a lot more. So that was part of the strategy. We just needed to have a pop. We needed to pop a few more runs, and we did a little better in that running attack than we were.
What are you taking from that Michigan experience last year to help you prepare for this week?
Right. And again, you can take the confidence that you gain from going into a very difficult venue and playing well against a team that was top 10 at the time. They may have been 11. They had just coming off a Notre Dame victory, high expectations, and go in there and play in a very good ball game, and having the confidence that you gain from those experiences. Now, can you relate how well Penn State's going to be prepared, and how many turnovers they're going to have, and how keyed up they are, and how well they play? at their first home game for their new head coach. You can't draw a lot of parallels between that game and this game as far as the style of play the style of defense that they use, and the style that Michigan uses, where their quarterback is, where Michigan's quarterback was at the time. All those things, you have to take them as completely mutually exclusive events. But you do gain the maturity, confidence of most of our players that we've come back with. Say, gosh, we went into that environment, which was very same attendance and same crowd and all those type of things, and we were able to go in there and play football. So hopefully that, whether we can't control a lot of anything, we should be able to control the way we go in there and our calmness and our ability to go out and focus on the game and not get caught up in all the differences in what that game looks like than most of the games we play.
You mentioned before in the days coming to the Howard game, one word, turnover margin.
Right.
2 words.
Right.
You were still you were a +1, but you said you could have gotten maybe a couple more?
Oh gosh, if you go back and look at it, we dropped 3 or 4 interceptions that we should have had right in our hands, and that wouldn't have changed the outcome of that game. But when you look at your whole season, your edge, your turnover pluses and your turnover minuses, that's 4 or 5 plus that you would have liked to bid. Now, in the real scheme of things, you don't get to carry those forward. That won't change the outcome of another game, but it shows that we have to be able to make those kind of plays. It would have now all the fact that we drove down twice and did not score in the second quarter. If we have some of those, then it doesn't matter. That's going to get you some 5-yard, 10-yard, 15-yard drives. So the fact that we only gained 1 turnover means you had to drive. Yet you didn't have that ball in the +50. We got ball in +10 one time. We scored in 1 play. So again, we won but the biggest thing is we won the turnover battle, and the defense threw a shutout along with us not turning the ball over. So our goal was to win the turnover margin. We missed opportunities to really. 2 things you can do to take a game out of hand. You can, you make big plays, or you don't turn the ball over, and you create turnovers.
In those 2 possessions that you didn't score, you faced both 4th downs. On the first one, was it just you have a freshman kicker? Was it just?
No, well, it was already 21-0. It was already 21-0, and we were on about the 3-yard line. It was a long 1.5, and we wanted to fake the run and run the bootleg, and it was It was one of those where they had the guy just rushing at the quarterback, and he made if he turns and makes a little better throw, we make a little better catch, it scores, or at least gets the first down, because he would have caught it on about the 1. And the second one, we just didn't get close enough, and we just wanted to kick the field goal, because at that point, 24 points is a 4-score game. Unless you get 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point plays, you want to make sure you got your 4-score game lined up there, because that's a different mentality for the other team to have to face going into halftime. So that was the time. Let's just get our 24, then we'll take it from there. But when you've scored 3 quick times, you're just assuming the next one you're going to go in there, 4th down, you're going to get a touchdown and keep it going. And what happens when you assume.
Now, hypothetically speaking, that funky travel that Penn State had to open the season, is that tough? You think tough to readjust?
But that's that's better for their press conference than mine. But they're gonna put it in their best light. They went into a hostile, unusual environment. They lined up, stayed focused, and won a game against a top 10 team from last year that beat them last year. The game was played early enough that the 8-hour trip got them home not much later than if they'd played Saturday night at home. That's the way I would swing it. If you want me to swing their swing, but we can't control that. We had some extra days to work, and we had a chance to go out there and practice on a day they had to play a game, and so that was a plus for us. The biggest thing we could do is go out there and take the 2 days that we had, that we'll have a little more, not 2 hard days, but 2 days to prepare for them. And hopefully took advantage of that.
You talked earlier about your run game. How do you want to use it in a game like this, and how do you want to see it evolving going forward?
Well, the running game, just it's so good to be balanced, and so good to take the pressure off your quarterback, to take the pressure off your lineman, to be able to block every time, and cause the defense to have to you know, not just rush the passer, but rush the passer and worry about a good draw or a good running play and a good balance there. And so, but I'm not going to beat my head into the ground either. I'm going to work on a strong running game and a strong passing game. Then I'm going to try to run the game plan at the moment that the defense gives us. Defense plays 8 men on the line every snap, then we might need to throw it every single time. Now, if we get ahead of them by a bunch, then we'll try to run it and catch back up, which I wish we'd have done in that game, because that's what the game plan would have dictated, not running it early. It was been throwing it, get ahead, and then running it and getting our yardage up, and we wouldn't be talking about this, although it would be second half yardage, and it would be stuff that we didn't quite get that point there. And but still, you know, we need to break. We need to run better. I mean, plays have got to need to go for 5 and not for 2. And that's the kind of thing I thought we had in that game a little bit too much of. That's what, as I looked at it and I said, man, we got to run for 5s and 7s on the average plays than the 2s and 3s. And so, you know, it's something we've got to get. We've got to make sure we continue to work on that. Just because it gives your quarterback a breather, he doesn't have when we have a running play, he gets to actually mentally rest for 45 seconds or so. You know, when he has to pass and read every pre-snap read and every coverage read the blitz and all the rest, he's thinking every second. And so when we get to run a play, it does calm. It gives your quarterback a chance to relax, and so it also gives your lineman a chance just to do some other thing and forces the defense. So there's some things besides just making the defense stop the run. And so
during that second quarter offensively, Cole was seeing a lot more pressure than he was in the first quarter. What's that offensive line? What are you telling that offensive line this week, given that situation?
Well, I mean, look, let's correct our mistakes. I mean, what happened was we jumped them so bad. Their goal was that the second quarter to come out and do something a little different. Now, sometimes you're getting pressured by unblocked defenders when they rush a lot, and they decide they're going to try to get to the quarterback quick, and you better hit some passes quick, because they're going to run enough people through there that's going to stop the run on the way to the quarterback when you blitz a lot of people. So at that point, you've got to be able to throw and catch and get them out of that. But being a first game, you know, there's an old saying that you make the most progress in a season between game 1 and game 2, and you find out you got 2 new tackles. How well do they play with the interior line? How well were they adjusting to, you know, to the game atmosphere? And of course, it'll be an entirely different game atmosphere this week. But you go out there and just try to correct your mistakes and get better. We did not have 1 sack. I mean, even if when he was pressured, he got out fairly easy and he made yardage. We had no sacks, and but there was a second quarter. But I thought Kyle did some things. I think Kyle had a point there for about a quarter where he wasn't as sharp as he was before that or after that, and he needs to settle through that as well. Sometimes you just get someone they blitz, you just got to get rid of the ball and know where to throw it.
Speaking of tackles, have you heard anything on Brown?
I don't know. I have not. I know they're meeting on it today, I believe. They meet every Tuesday, I think, is when the NCAA meets. They'll meet every week to go over these things. And I think last week they wanted some more information on his case. And so, you know, it's not the first time I've had that happen. You know, you've gone 1 week, then 2 weeks, and I guess you want it to be resolved as quickly as possible if it can be resolved in a positive manner. And then you also, as long as they keep saying, I need some more information, that means there apparently is something there that they're interested in. But I can't speak for the NCAA, except they wanted some more information, and we were able to, you have to go to doctors and people like that to get more information.
Coach, did the defense look as good on tape as it did Saturday night? That should take a look at it with some things maybe?
For Penn State?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah.
As far as our defense.
Oh, our defense played real well. And now again, we played well against. Well, you know what? Howard had a very good quarterback. They were very good. They scored, I think, 40 points 3 out of the last 4 games last year, and that was a very good 1AA football program as far as some of their skill that they had. But defensively, when you throw a shutout like we did, and Chuck did say that in all of his years coaching, we had maybe 8 team loafs. That means 1 guy loafs. That's a team loaf. And that's the least he's had in as long as he's been coaching. Well, that says a ton about the team's desire to get to the football, and nobody not buying into what it takes. So that's how well they played from the standpoint of effort-wise. You know, we can get better. You know, we had they had a long drive right before the half that we shut down, but defense played hard. When you don't have a lot of loafs, you know they play hard, because we look so critically at all 11 people, especially backside. Somebody not running full speed and chasing a ball, even though he might not have any chance of making a tackle. He may get a fumble recovery. He may jump on something behind that ball. So that was for Coach Amata to say that about our defense and their effort in that game. That was off. That I spent a lot of time talking to our defense about that. So. But again, we don't want to compare apples and oranges here. We're playing probably the best team on our schedule this week, and that's a lot different.
Well, along that line, in a game like that, you have young corners and things like that. Are you able to learn much about them from a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you see how yeah, I think you can. I mean, to me, whether the guy is all pro or he's a guy that you don't know much about, and quite often, Howard, you got a guy that you don't know much about. He may be very gifted, he may be limited, but you still got to backpedal. You got to make sure you cover your man. You got to make your calls and reads and adjustments and line up properly every down. But I think you can see the way a guy's going to perform out there as far as being able to do the assignments. Now you put a much more talented guy out there on them in one-on-one and see physically do they get mismatched. Then that'll be another issue, if someone has in for a mismatch. But you get Dante Williams back, and you got John Center, who's played a lot as a nickel and dime back. Very good, doing good. Bryce Cheeks played very well. He's a big physical. He's the prototype cornerback, 6'1", 190 pounds. He was indoor 60 meters guy, indoor track. I think best we had in the school. One of the best in the conference, and Chris Givens, who came in, and I'm probably missing somebody out there, but that they played pretty well. Like I say, a new day, new test. But when you throw a shutout and you don't give up the big play, I mean that's the key. Did you not give up the big play? And that's hard to do in this day and age.
You willing to chalk up the missed field goal, the missed chip shot, the extra point as freshman Nerds first game, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would hope that would be the best way to explain it. But also, we had Robert Stein has had a very good preseason, and I think that just because we had made a decision that if it was even, we were going to go with a freshman, just because we had 2 years to look at Robert, but he's had a real good preseason. So I think it's I will chalk it up there. But if and he's going to be a fine kicker for us, I believe, Tom O'Leary. But if it were to be, if there were to, he's still got to win the position. We have a good guy there that's worked real hard and Rob's doing the kickoffs and some other things. And but so I don't think that's in concrete that we're going to be there with him. But he's got the potential to be a good kicker. But we hopefully, and that was. That we'll just get the rhythm down and it's a faster game. All the places in football that it's really a faster game. The PAT field goal timing, 1.25 seconds every single time we try to get it off, or the defense can block it. In high school, that is one of the most different things you've got to learn how to do, is to kick it very, very fast, and then also be accurate. And so it's something that sometimes it's acquired over time.
So Penn State wins on a field goal at the end.
Uh-huh.
And so did Ohio.
Right.
Your philosophy on quote-unquote icing the kicker, would you automatically do it? Do you look at this?
I would. I mean, I think I'll put ice the kicker. There's no reason to take a timeout with you into the game, after the game in the dressing room, I mean, I wouldn't invent it. So I'm trying. When I look at the psychology of icing a kicker, it seems to be one a lot of coaches feel like it might have an impact and make him think about it. And it makes sense to me. It's like standing over a putt. I think the longer you stand over a putt, the harder it gets. The longer you stand over a kick.
That though is once you take the time out, you're obligated because of TV and everything.
Yeah.
To the minute, because back in those days you could take a time out.
And just give an ice him a little bit.
And
then go with him right there.
10 seconds later, put your team right back out there.
You mean before the kick or after the kick?
Before the kick.
Yeah. I don't know I'm we're all.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
What's the reason to ice them when you're gonna get the minute? To me, to ice them is to make them hesitate, get a little.
Well, now, hold down, now, I'm not following you, you've got me in a debate here that I haven't prepared for. If the clock is running, and the guy's going, if he's got his normal 25, the incomplete pass, and they're gonna go run out there, and they got 25 seconds to get lined up, plenty of time, now all of a sudden, when those 25 seconds is over, he's got 25 seconds, that's not a whole lot of thinking going on. You call a timeout, then you've got him, what's the commercial, he's gonna have to think about it for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Because TV and radio, they
What?
automatically get the whole, is that right?
Well, I don't blame
They automatically get
I'm not saying, I'm just.
what do you mean they get the whole?
You follow what I'm saying.
But yeah, but he has to think about it even more, doesn't he, because the longer time?
What I'm saying is, yeah, from that standpoint, but a lot of times you just want to rattle the guy.
Well, I mean, I don't know how long's a rattle. Is it a 3-minute rattle or a 2-minute rattle or what? It's debatable whether it even works anyway. I'm just saying as I look at coaches that do that, a lot of your top coaches in the NFL and in the college do it. And so I haven't really given a lot of thought as to study the psychology of waiting. I guess there is probably a psychology paper written too, whether the having to stand over that, in golf, you slow. I relate kicking to golf so much, the mental aspect of it and the whole part of it. And some golfers slow it down and some speed it up. And it's I would say off the top of my head to take a short answer, make it longer, I'd still probably time it. I'd call a timeout to ice if I had one left over. But I'm not sure, still not sure whether it makes a difference at all in the outcome at all.
Coach, over the long run, whether it's this week, in 2 weeks, or in the middle of the MAC season, back to your offense and how successful Kyle was passing the ball, what do you see as wanting, not where I'm not looking for is balance, but what do you want to see from your offense? 60 pass, 40 run, or is that going to vary from week to week depending on the?
I think it varies from week to week because the fact that the object is to be able to run as effectively as you pass when that's what they give you. If they give you the run, and if you're a spread offense, when you're an I formation the old days with a fullback and a tight end, you got to run it. That's what your numbers dictate. That's what you do. You run it, and then you run it so well that you can play extra pass. When you spread out and you use 3, if definitely 4, then you now dictate that you have to pass it so well that they spread out to cover the pass to run. You can't hardly go backwards on the thing. But some people, if you pass well for 2 weeks in a row, then the game plan the next week would be, we're going to stop that pass. We're not going to let him beat us for that pass. So they start the very first play by spreading out. So the thing that you do, you start the very game by running. And you keep on running till they outnumber you inside. And so but the key is, I think, the way I've always tried to explain it to people that don't coach is that, and we're not there, I think y'all have hit it, we need to get better at running attack, is when they give you the run, you're effective enough to take it. When they give you the pass, you're good enough at that. That's balance to me. It's not that you run 50% and pass 50%. It's when they give you one or the other, you're just as effective as attacking them with a run as you are with a pass. Over the course of a season, it should balance out to maybe 60-40 or something around there. But if you're a 4 wide out team, I've studied enough 4 wide out teams. It's 80-20. It's an 80-20 play calling split, but not necessarily. I just know, but not the yardage gained. I would think that if you're a 4 wide out offense, what I'm not seeing a big, it's not that you run it 70 times a game. It's that you average 7 yards a carry and not 2, because you've got them spread out. We've got to do a better job of creating big plays. You watch Baylor or some of these teams that are really explosive offenses. I don't know if they run it that many more times. They're getting a little more yardage out of it. We've got to do a better job doing that, start with.